Deb McGinn, why does Jefferson matter to you?
That's a long question that I could answer for days. But I think Jefferson matters to me because it's my home. I've lived here for 48 years. Before that, as a married woman, but before that, my parents came here in 1964 and started 5th grade in Jefferson. Went through all my school days here, then went off to college, was gone for like 9 years, and then suddenly found myself back here. So I think it means home.
Welcome back to episode 5 of Behind What Matters. I'm Matt Wetrich, Executive Director of Jefferson Matters of Main Street. And today we have Deb McGinn here with us. And we are talking about one of the things that has recently put Jefferson on the map. Previous episodes, we talked about something literally on the map, which is the Mahaney Bell Tower. But in recent years, it's been a culture that we've created here of creativity, collaboration, and nothing has exemplified that more than our public art. And really behind a lot of that has been Deb McGinn and the Jefferson Matters Tower View team. So thank you for joining us today, Deb. We're gonna dive into this, like kind of how this has all gotten started, what it's meant to the community, and your role, and all that good stuff. So, we're going to be talking about painted pianos to Porch Fest. Ring Out for Art, breathing life into alleys, literally bringing flat wall to life, rooftop art, of course, things like that. So this creativity, this culture we've created here in Jefferson is really drawn the attention of not just local artists, but regionally and across the country. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
You are the chair of Tower View team and secretary for the Jefferson Matters board.
Yes, I am.
And you've been involved in so many of these projects. So how long have you been involved with Jefferson Matters?
I think it's going on 14 years now.
14 years.
And I retired from school and decided I didn't really want to live in Jefferson anymore because of the way it looked. To be quite honest, There was not much to do. And about that same time when I was retiring, Main Street started to come to town. And they were having the entry meetings and all of that. And so I thought, this would be really kind of a cool thing to get involved with. And so I did. And one day at one of their meetings, they had this big blue wall where you put up ideas. And the question was, what do you think would bring people off of Highway 30 down into your community? What do you have here? And my husband nudged me and said, go tell them about that rooftop art. And so I thought, well, okay. And so I put that on there, and everybody was like, what is that? And so I proceeded to tell them that when we first moved to town, Mark had never been to the tower, and so he wanted to go. So I said, let's go, but there's really nothing to look at except for the countryside. And when we got up there, he looked down and he said, what about all these rooftops? They're so blank. He said, they need to put something up here like artwork or something. Well, I thought that's a really cool idea, but I didn't pursue it or anything. And so...
Can you tell us approximately when year-ish wise? Was that like 2010-ish? What'd you say?
When he told...
that was a long time ago.
That was a long, 48 years ago.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that kind of just laid there until Main Street came about 2012. Mm-hmm. And so when I put that up there on that blue wall, everybody said, that's such a great idea, such a great idea. But then they looked at me and said, well, then how are you going to do that? And I thought, what? And so I learned really quickly that if you make a suggestion, you better follow through with it. And so I decided to grab some people that I know and have them come to my house, and if you're interested in doing something like this. And that's kind of where Main Street, or the Tower View team started, was right there in my living room. And then Main Street then was accredited, and they got their start, and then I was asked to join the board. They needed an art team. And so I said, well, this is great because we need money, and I could get you're a 501c3, so that means like I'm eligible for grants that way. So I said, yeah, let's do that. And so that's how I got involved with Main Street, was through just that one little post on that blue wall. So,
amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And it took that interest and community pride for you to even show up to that meeting.
Right. I just knew that Jefferson could be more.
Sure.
And I'd seen it in probably its heyday in the 60s, but at the same time, it still didn't look as nice as it does today. People say, oh, I liked it when it was, old past, let's do this. You go back and look at those pictures, and it's nothing like it is today. So I don't want to go backwards. I want to keep moving forward.
Tell us a little bit about what Tower View team focuses on. Like, what is the drive of Tower View team?
Okay, when the team got together, we didn't have a name or anything, but we decided that since we wanted to do rooftop art, we wanted to see everything from the top of the tower. So Tower View team came into play in the naming of that. And we would like to put artwork in surprising places. Well, what more surprising place than on top of a building? But when we first started, people didn't get that concept at all, the general public. They were like, what are you trying to do? And I said, let's prove that we can do something first. And so we decided to go into the alley. That's when creative placemaking kind of was on the rise. People hadn't really heard of that. And so we said, let's go into an alley and see if we can't really turn it around with creative placemaking, which is just bringing art into an empty space and making it into a third place in your community. And so we knew Sally White. She had just passed away, and I'd seen all of her bird photos at a presentation. And I said, we really need to honor people like that in our county that are so talented. And so I said we could, put these big, humongous photos of hers in the alley and make it a really sweet little space. And so that's what we started to do, because I always said, well, we're going to have to climb a few walls before we get to the roof. And so for people to understand that we're a group that we're really dedicated as to what we want to do. And so that was the first project with Sally's Alley. Then we did a rooftop art project. And so it's just grown since then. My team is just brilliant with ideas and drive, and that's what you need, is a lot of volunteers that are going to help. So
certainly agree with that, and you've done a great job of welcoming and creating a space where people feel comfortable with trying new things,
right.
Creating a culture of yes.
Right.
I'm going to go back one second. You use the term third space, and can you help folks understand what that term means?
A third space really isn't, it isn't a place where you're expected to gather. It's an unexpected gathering place. And an alley is truly an unexpected space. When I was a little girl here, I tell the story that my mother always used to say, if I ever find you in that alley, because, that's not where girls hang out, was not in an alley space. And so now I'm in alleys all the time. But in other cities, I even go into alleys to see what they're doing in their alleys. But back then, it was a place where it was kind of scary, sketchy people hung out. And so you're going to turn it around and make it into something that people are unexpectedly surprised by. And so that's what we did. And that's kind of and with creative placemaking, you're just bringing art into a space that was devoid of art. So that's really good. So let's do one more kind of definition of, we've said creative placemaking a couple of times now. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Because that concept is really important, and we've kind of, I guess, sort of made a name for ourselves for good creative placemaking. We have. And it's just bringing art into surprising places that you don't think about. Alleyways, rooftops, back alleyways with murals, that kind of a thing. And so if you think of a place that you don't really normally have art in and you put it there, that is called creative placemaking.
I guess to add to that, when I think of it too, I think it's what resources do you have, and when people are in your community or in that space, they know it's like, oh, this is Jefferson.
This is Jefferson.
This is unique. This isn't just another cut and paste project that you would see in other places. This is a identifiable spot or entity that feels unique to your place. So being creative with your place and making people feel like they're there
Right.
and present there because of what you've done.
That's right. You're in Jefferson when you see rooftop art.
Yeah.
You're in Jefferson when you're in Imagination Alley or Arch Alley or Sally's Alley. Know that this is where that happens. So it's kind of exciting.
It is. It's very fun, and it's a challenge because you want to do these projects, and we do them a lot with the community. You want to talk a little bit about that and the collaborative processes that have happened?
I learned really early on that people will help support what they help create or what they think they're helping create. And so we've done a lot of things like that. The first project was the yarn bombing project that we did. And that was, we yarn bombed 20-some trees around the courthouse, and we did it on a Sunday, and people came down on Monday to go to work, and they thought, what the heck happened down here? Because all of the trees were
Explain what yarn bombing is.
Yarn bombing is just taking yarn, and you either crochet it or knit it or whatever, and then you wrap it around trees or poles or anything any structure that you want. And we chose all the trees, but what we did was to bring the community in, and Amy Roberts was brilliant about this. She would go and get anybody to do this, and so she got clubs. She even had the Boy Scouts do one tree that year. And it was like, what? How did you do that? And so, but people wanted to be a part of something at that point in time. And they saw this was fun. This was not hard to do. It was temporary art. And so as long as it's temporary, I think anybody can stand anything for a while. And so, but all the trees that winter were all decorated with colorful yarn. And so that was a really fun project. But again, stating that people want to help you and they want to be a part of making Jefferson better. And so I learned that really early on in all of that. The next big, huge project that we did with community-based help was Arch Alley with David Williamson. He was the artist, and he's a collaborative artist, always has been his whole life. And so he said, we went to him and we said, we want to do an alley project. And I don't know what we want to do, but we want to have sculpture in there. And so he said, I will not do that, but we'll do it together. And so that was a whole different shift of your mind, that we are going to do this together. And so we had over 125 people, 150 people involved in designing that. We had, he went and did workshops with every fourth grader that year. They had their input in that alley space. We wrote a community poem. People came in and helped do that. And so I think there's just been a lot of community pride because it's okay to help us. We want your help. We want your input, and we want your ideas. So, and I think that's great.
It is, and Arch Alley is a really good example of that collaborative process. It's also a really good example of you can interpret a lot of things through art, and there's not a lot of literal things happening there. A slap you in the face of, oh, well, this is a cherry on a spoon, or this is a painting of a farm scene, or whatever it may be, and that's kind of what's neat about art, is to be able to interpret it your own way,
right,
and tell your own story. There are stories to be told about that, for sure.
That Arch Alley has got more stories than probably anything in Jefferson, really.
Agreed. Because
it is the story of all of us. All of that material that is used in that alley is all recycled, repurposed material. The big beams that you see in there, those came from the Home State Bank when they did the remodeling. We have a historic beam from Murals building when they redid the front of that building. We got a beam from them. We have all of the aluminum castings. That aluminum came out of the Raccoon River during one of the river cleanups that David was involved with the state, and it was leftover aluminum, so we used that. All of the first arch is all historic, done in our way, but we went to the museum and we all drew parts of historic furniture or historic things that were in the museum, and that's the first arch, and then the second arch, what came out of the school project, because David said, "What do you like to wear to school?" And here came all of these drawings. And what came out was this little girl had done an arch of shirts, T-shirts. And we thought, well, how fitting is that? And so then...
No pun intended.
Yeah, how fitting is that? Yes. And then the little structure below that is little pants. We decided they wear pants to school too. So we put little pants. And then the third arch represents all the manufacturing that we have here. All of it's round because all of it has something to do with like discs or basketball rims or something like that. So we did those round things. But on those particular ones in the second alley and the third arch would be these little designs that you see. And those are the designs of the kids. Those are their paths to school. David had each one draw their path to school. And then we did that in aluminum on each one of those. And so there's so much to tell about Arch Alley. So, and then the arch in the middle arch, that was a totally new concept. People got together, adults came, they took those pathways to school and made that crazy looking top arch. And it was just, they wanted to be involved with doing that. The other two arch tops are reflective of what arches we have downtown around our buildings. It's just a lot of storytelling right there.
Sure.
And the community poem is pretty good too.
It is really neat. And so there's a lot of subtle nods in there and a lot of things to interpret, and not everybody's going to get all that every time, and that's okay. That's all part of the fun of it.
That's all
but
part of it.
But then when you get to have a conversation with folks who can tell you a little more of the story, then it's like, ooh, extra layers deep on that. But,
it's very deep in there.
So clearly that's one of your favorite projects, would you say?
One of my favorite, because well, number one, I work with my brother.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you said
David is my brother.
You said he's been that way his whole life,
I
was going to let you add to how you might know that it's been his whole life. But.
And my whole family is creative, and even down to my kids now, they're creative too. But it's just always been a part of my life, you know. And so when David said yes, I was really pleased to get to work with him.
Yeah.
Mainly because he started his career here in Jefferson with the public library piece out front. And they took a chance on David back in 1973. And the Home State Bank funded that. And so he said, I'm getting to be, by that time he was about 74 when we did Arch Alley. And so he said, it's kind of a bookend to my career. So he was excited to come back and do that for us.
It's really neat. So probably most folks don't realize the sculpture in front of the library made by the same artist, David.
That's right. Yeah, he made that in 1973. Yeah.
Wow. It's fantastic. Let's see. Tell us about any of the other projects that stand out to you that really have kind of hit your heart or you're most proud of. It's kind of like picking your favorite kid. I understand that.
Yeah, it's kind of like picking my favorite kid because I really do like all of the alleys because each one is different. This is the other thing. We didn't want any alley to just look like the next alley. And because we said, we're too creative for that. Let's try something different. And so I think Sally's Alley really holds my heart because of the message that we tried to convey in that space. Sally was such a sweet woman, and she went through a lot of struggle in her later life, and the way she got involved in that, taking the pictures of all those birds out of her kitchen window, and Paul White, such a sweet gentleman, and he gave her binoculars or a camera, I think, at first, and said, you need to start looking up a little bit, get her out of her depression. And she said, at the very end then, she said something to the effect like, I thought I was taking care of these birds, but in all reality, they were taking care of me. I mean, what a story that is, And so I really think that's probably one of my favorite spaces to be in, just because of the story, and Paul and Sally were such sweet people.
Yeah, it's really sentimental, and it is a lot of softscaping in there too. The plants.
Yeah,
and,
it's just a different feel when you go in there.
It's
just you can breathe a little bit in there.
It is a nice place to sit. There's a couple seating opportunities.
Right. And we put the first little lending library in there, and it's always full of books. And then we have a set of wings now that you can go get a picture, and it says Sally's Alley, Jefferson, Iowa, so you know where you are.
Yep.
I've got a lot of those photos from people that they send me. So that's good. Imagination Alley also that's just been a fun project because of the fact that, number one, I didn't have to be the head of it.
Yeah.
But Jean Van Gilder.
Shout out to Jean Van Gilder.
And Jenny Showman.
And Jenny.
And so those two went with it, and they decided to get Kelsey Wilson involved. She's the artist. She's an illustrator, and you can really tell that with her work and on the wall. And we really wanted it to be a fun, child-centered space because it kind of goes to the library. And so I think the girls did a really fantastic job in that space.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Also married technology with artwork the first time forever, everything. And so we've got the augmented reality in there, which is fun for the kids to do.
That is really cool. How about any surprises along the way? What some of the biggest surprises through any of these projects?
I think the biggest surprise is the support. I really didn't know how Jefferson was going to react with all of these different things that we were doing. But it has been so positive, and people have been so appreciative of what we've done for downtown. My class reunion was just this last weekend over Bell Tower Festival. I don't know how many times people came up to me, oh, thank you so much for keeping Jefferson on the map. It could have died out. And I really do think that the artwork that we've brought here, the things that we've done to get Jefferson back to where it should be and where it's going in the future, I think that's great. And so I think that's about it. I think.
That's a wonderful surprise.
Yeah, it's a wonderful surprise because a lot of communities are not like this way. We're really unique in Jefferson. We really are, because now that I've gone out to state things with other people in the arts for different meetings that I go to or have to speak at, people are going, you are so lucky that you have your city behind you, you have your county board of supervisors behind you with the Ring Out for Art that we have, the sculpture exhibition. Home State Bank has just been phenomenal to work with. And so it's just, whenever I need something, it's just always there.
Yeah.
So
Home State
and that's what you need.
In telecom too.
Jefferson Telecom.
Yeah.
Jefferson Telecom has hosted Porch Fest now 2 years in a row, I think.
Been the
sponsor.
Yeah.
They've also done rooftop art projects. They were in on this last rooftop art project with the 3D. If anybody hasn't been there, go up and see that.
Yes,
I was a little worried about that one because I thought, can't she really do that 3D from the top of the tower?
We'll
she
get
nailed
to that. We'll come back to that, but I do want to hit one thing about certainly ideas are important and great, but you have to have funding to make things happen.
Yes.
And I will then add to that it's easier for funding to come along when they see this support, the rest of the community support, and the energy and the synergy that has gone into these projects. People aren't going to want to fund projects that they don't think would make a difference to the community. So
no, and I think Tower View Team has a really good reputation of starting something and finishing something.
Yeah.
And there's an end date to it.
Yeah.
And so I think that helps too.
Certainly.
But the funding, of course, Community Foundation has funded lots of things for us. Yep. The Home State Bank, like I said, has funded lots of things, Jefferson Telecom, and also Grow Green County Gaming. They took a chance. I think that was one of their first major giveaways was to Imagination Alley.
Big grant fund.
A big, huge grant that we got. And that was putting them out on a limb too. Was that going to work? How was that alley was that really going to help Tower View Team and Main Street and Jefferson, and how many eyeballs are going to be on that? Well, they found out, I think, that they put in a good investment.
Absolutely. And to underscore that, having the director of the IEDA, the Iowa Economic Development Authority, Ms. Debbie Durham, be talking about that at various events across the state. I've seen she touts that alley project, and so to your point, it's really paid off for and that's Grow Green County Gaming is they distribute funds all across the county, and they're trying to help make an impact to local municipalities and nonprofits and all the things, and do a variety of things. And they do a great job of distributing that across different projects. Public art is a unique category to fund. And
it is.
I love that we were able to take that and really make it be a showcase piece for not just Jefferson, but the entire county, and make them proud.
And actually the state, because like you said, people from across the state know what Jefferson is all about. And the first thing they say, it's your art that you're known for anymore. And so... And I don't know why that is, excepting that we have really good art here.
Yeah, we do.
So
I want to hit on rooftop art.
Yeah.
Again, let's come back to that. But I want to start with the note of last year in Philadelphia, when we went to accept winning the top honor you can win as a Main Street community of the Great American Main Street Award. And really excited. We had 20 of us there to be a part of that. This huge, beautiful theater in downtown Philadelphia. Main Street America had sent a film crew from New York here to produce a video that kind of talked a little bit about our story. And so they play that before we go up on stage to win the award. Talk about the moment of the drone footage and what that moment was like.
Well, the whole thing was exciting.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. But, and to be a part of that, it was just so thrilling. But anyway, the drone starts to go up over the rooftop art, and there's a collective, oh my God, that's so cool. In the entire auditorium. I instantly tear up because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they really liked it.
It was. It was the only out of the three communities and everything. And I was there for this year's, and there was not that wow factor in any of them this year and anything else. Not to like be bragging or anything, but it just to be proud. It was,
and it was so surprising.
Proud.
I think it took the crowd by surprise. Again, putting art in surprising places pays off. Yeah, they just weren't expecting that.
To me, that moment was worth everyone being there for.
It was a lovely moment.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I'll remember that a long time.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, it was really special.
It
so
was
you just kind of had to
special.
be there to experience it, but it's fun to talk about still.
It is, yeah.
And really the impact that it made was evident.
And
because it's not just the people, it's people in our profession and the volunteers and people who are also equally as dedicated to their communities the way that you are and our organization is. And so like people who can really get it and they really appreciate that stuff.
Got it, yeah.
Anyway,
but it's exciting for the artists too to have that kind of a reaction. They could see that they could hear it on the film or the video that we brought home of the whole thing.
Yeah, we live streamed
because
that.
it was showing Dana Harrison's beautiful artwork on his roofs and Nicole Fresh Schilling, Wild Woman on the Roof, and I mean it was great for the to know that we have so much talent in this community.
Yeah.
And so I was so proud for them too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Really, really neat. All right, so we have a brand new one. Just not even a month old now.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that and a little bit how this was a risk, and we're building the plane as we're flying it a little bit on these projects and the different roof materials.
I'm always building the plane while we're flying it because we never really know what's going to happen.
It's true.
But especially with rooftop art, nobody's really done that, and so didn't have much people to go to talk to about how do you do this, and so everything is research, and so the first one that we did was. Nicole Fresh Schilling did the painted, and that's just house paint on top of that roof. It's held up very, very well.
That's on the west side of
That's on the west side.
Right next to Imagination Island.
And so, but this new one, I met Kathleen Joy at Bell Tower Festival. She was the chalk artist that did the 3D chalk that one year on the street on Lincoln Way. And I just walked up to her and I said, hey, do you ever do anything like on a rooftop? She said, what? And I said, well, let's go and I'll show you. So she left her little place for a little bit and we went up there and she said, oh my gosh, she said, I got to do this. And so I said, well, we'll try to get you a roof. And so luckily we got a roof. And by this time, she was working alongside Andy Leisure of Leisure Graphics. And because her knees are kind of giving out on her. And so she said, I can't get down that far anymore to do that big of a rooftop. And so what she has done, she designed this 3D piece of artwork, then gave it to Andy and his company, and they manufactured that on vinyl. Now, we've never had a vinyl covered roof before, but they tell me that it's like wrapping a car, and with that kind of vinyl. And so I said, let's take the risk and see if it works. And they also said it just pulls right off too if you don't want it anymore. I think we do want this for quite a long time.
It's really neat.
It is very cool. It's called Home Sweet Home, and which is so fitting. It was just in time for the Bell Tower Festival this year, and I thought, oh, how fitting that this is Home Sweet Home. And it features the prairie flowers and the Iowa flowers.
Really neat.
It's very cool.
Well, we're just gonna say, you got to go see it for
You
yourself.
got to go see
You
it,
gotta go see it
and
for
make
yourself.
sure you're looking out the elevator when you go up, because all of a sudden these flowers just start to come out at you. So it's very cool.
It is
But like
neat.
I said, I was kind of worried that from that angle,
Sure.
but well, she nailed it.
Oh yeah,
So
it's really well done.
it's really, really
very
well
creative
done.
and should last a long time. And again,
And I will say, the Bell Tower Foundation also gave money for that piece to happen,
Yes.
along with Jefferson Telecom, the Grow Green County Gaming, and Jed McGee gave us some money for
Excellent.
that, and Home State Bank, I think.
the little Tower View team.
Tower Team a little
money
bit,
there,
yeah.
too.
So
Great. Well, again, it's just that funding lasagna. Just lots of layers there to make it all work, as
Yeah.
is the case often.
what I like about it is that these funders also take a chance.
Yeah.
They don't really know what we're going to do either.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun to watch that happen.
Agreed. All right, let's wrap up with a non-visual art, but more, it's not visual, but more listening art. Let's tell us about when Porch Fest is this year, and just a little bit about what Porch Fest is.
Yeah, Porch Fest came about 3 years ago. I think this is our fourth one coming up. And again, just one of these things that we were talking about, and I had heard somebody do Porch Fest in Des Moines. I thought we could do that. We could do it on our scale. I mean, in Des Moines, it's like 2 days, and 100 porches or something. And I said, but we could do it on our scale. And so we decided, yeah, we could do that. And so it's 4 porches, 4 musicians for 45 minutes per porch. And you take your chair and walk around to these. We try to get them so they're fairly close together around the park, around Russell Park. And then we end up back down in at the Welcome Gardens. And then we have a bigger band down there. And then we have food trucks, and it's just kind of grown throughout the years. First year we didn't have any food trucks, and the second year we had a couple food trucks. Now we've got lots of food trucks, and so it's just grown, and I think it's just a relaxed day in Jefferson. It's very chill, very laid back. Great musicians on each porch. We try to not repeat musicians, so it's just a fun day, fun afternoon.
It is. You get together with your friends and neighbors and whoever wants to come, and you're all hanging out together. It's just kind of that building sense of community again, and interacting and doing stuff that's fun outside. And
then we end up back downtown.
Who doesn't love
where it all starts?
Yes, exactly. Who doesn't love live music? So
live music is great.
Yeah, tell us the date coming up this year.
July 12th. It starts at 1:30.
Starts at 1:30.
Right.
So lots of information on our social media.
Lots of information
about that.
online about it. We have the 4 musicians. Will be Catherine Fox. She's the other half of Weary Ramblers. We've got Andrew Hoyt. We've got Patrice Hartman, and then we have the Cedar County Cobras on the porches, and then Stranger Things from Ames.
I'm impressed.
And
you
that's
remember.
kind of a rock band, older rock band.
Cool.
So.
That will be fun.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
We try to have just a fun time.
We look forward to
I
that.
said I don't do anything if it's not fun.
Touche. Last thing, are there any upcoming projects that you're excited about that, or that you're willing to talk about yet, or anything on the horizon?
There is. There's a very exciting project coming up. It's another mural, and it's going to be at the back half of Arch Alley. But I really don't want to give it out yet.
Okay.
I got to keep people
Stay
coming
tuned.
back and wondering what we're doing.
So you're, I think you're kind of trying to create a little buzz here.
Kind of creating a little buzz. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And yeah, so, but it'll be fun. People will really enjoy it. And once again, it's going to be a major artist that's going to be doing it. It's going to connect us globally. He's got these murals, these particular murals in 5 different countries. So it's a global art initiative.
And it'll be in Iowa, for the only one in Iowa.
And it's the only one in Iowa so far. So it's very, very exciting.
Excellent. All right. Well, Deb, thank you. We could go on and on about all these
We
things.
could. I could keep going.
I know you could. It's been hard to narrow down the focus a little bit, but
We didn't even talk about ekphrasis.
oh my gosh, yeah, poetry and art. Yes, we could do a 2-part series here.
We could.
Certainly, we have all benefited from your passion for bringing art to our community, and therefore bringing people to our community, and making it a place that you and Mark decided to stay after retirement. So we're very thankful for that, and it's been really fun to get to work with you and have you on our board, but also just seeing. I mean, no other Main Street community in Iowa or anywhere has Tower View team. So.
That's so true.
Thanks for being a part of that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode and hearing about why public art matters to Jefferson. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow on all those good things. And if you want to get an ad spot here, we've got space for that too. So you want to be a part of these conversations and show your support for these podcasts. We reach out and we'll bring you on board with that as well. But until next time, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.